One other betting thing that you had pointed out to me yesterday, apparently off of the Antonio Gibson stuff and the exposure of Brian Robinson feels like he's going to have a much larger role than it looked like at the beginning of camp. And because we had a very weird year in the draft where there's not a single quarterback that anyone looks at and goes, that's going to be the rookie of the year, because it doesn't look like any of them are playing.
Right.
Matt Corral's out for the year already.
Yep.
Kenny Pickett might win the Steelers job.
Sure.
He might not.
Yeah.
Right? Malik Willis is not going to be the starting Titans quarterback. Desmond Ridder is not going to start for the Falcons. I bet he's playing by midseason, but he's not going to start for them, which means he's not going to play for the whole season. So forget that. Brian Robinson suddenly is getting a lot of support for Offensive Rookie of the Year, because it does feel like if there was ever a year it's going to be an off-the-board guy to get it, might be him.
The odds look like this. This is from Max Meyer of Caesar Sportsbook. Over the past week, this was tweeted yesterday, Brian Robinson Jr. was 100-1 to win Rookie of the Year.
Yeah. Well, he's like, as of a week ago, he was a backup running back on a team with a lot of weapons.
That is now at 35-1. Mm-hmm. So it tells you how much people are piling on. And as I said to you yesterday, with this situation, there's no quarterback that's really in the running here. Therefore, it's going to be really open season on stats.
It's open season on stats.
And if he hawks a bunch of touchdowns because he's a bruiser,
yes,
I could see it happening.
Well, and also, this will then matter also what their record is.
Yes.
If this is like a 10-win playoff team and he's got 12 touchdowns.
Yes, right. Exactly.
Then he's probably going to get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I would think the dude for the Jets, the running back, or the receiver for that matter, but probably the running back, Breece Hall, that's possibility.
Yep.
Could Olave have a big year in New Orleans? Maybe.
All these wide receivers.
Does London have a big year in Atlanta? Maybe. But I do agree, this feels very off the board this year.
Yep.
And mainly because I think we know it will not be a quarterback.
Right.
The Offensive Rookie of the Year is not going to be a quarterback this year.
That's right.
So let's see how that one plays out.
Your top odds-wise right now, as of today, Kenny Pickett plus 700, Drake London plus 800, Olave plus 800, Breece Hall plus 900, Treylon Burks.
If I had to guess, I would actually think he's going to have big numbers because he's going to be a primary starter now that Wilson's a little bit hurt. And they actually have a pretty good offensive line up there now. Or Becton just got hurt, but they have a pretty good... That guy, the guard they picked last year, has turned out to be a stud. I think he's going to have pretty good numbers, that guy, Breece Hall.
After that's Treylon Burks also at 900, George Pickens 1,000.
Yeah, that guy, 1,000. I like that dude.
Yeah.
that dude.
Pickens is what I would say too.
That dude's going to be a crowd favorite.
Yeah.
He jacks cornerbacks. It's really funny.
Sky Moore plus 1,000, Garrett Wilson plus 1,100. Then I'm going to jump ahead. Higher odds, actually, at least on this. Jahan Dotson's listed as plus 1,600. And then after that, Brian Robinson Jr. on this list, plus 2,500. He's actually behind Malik Willis at plus 2,800, which I like the value on that one, actually.
Malik Willis?
Yeah, just in case things go squirrely.
He'd have to be playing early for that to happen. Or he'd have to have just a gangbuster second half of the season.
I think if they get squirrely and Tannehill gets benched,
if they're like 3-4,
yeah,
they're like 3-4.
I'm saying like 1-3, 1-4, something like that.
And then they put him in, and then he goes off.
Right. I'm just saying
he's about the only one of the rookie quarterbacks that feels like that's a possibility that could happen.
Same thing, possibility of, hey, this guy runs a little bit, going to stuff the stats maybe a little bit.
They also have a really good defense.
Right.
That's not a great division.
Right.
They could probably win the division with him at quarterback or Tannehill at quarterback.
Right. So I'm just saying that's one value that I've always liked.
Right.
But yeah, Brian Robinson just climbing up the list. Still not as better. Doesn't have better odds than Jahan Dotson though.
I think for him or Dotson for that matter, it will matter if they have a good record because every game they're playing is at 1 o'clock, with the exception of a Thursday game and a Sunday night game, which means, the schedule makers don't believe they're going to be haymakers this year, which means they're not going to get a tremendous amount of attention. They're a 1 o'clock kick every week, which means their record needs to be good.
Yep.
If their record is pretty good, then people will start paying attention. That's what will happen. If their record gets good, people will pay attention. If they don't, he's going to have a really hard time unless somehow he has some Derrick Henry season, which I don't think is going to happen.
That's what I was going to say. Unless there's the very slim chance that they go gangbusters on the stat sheet and then fantasy people go crazy.
Yeah.
I don't see it happening. But I'm saying
they have too many people. Even if he had a really good season, it's not like they're not going to give Gibson the ball or they're not going to give McKissick the ball or they don't have 5 receivers they want to throw the ball to. I don't think there's enough carries or targets for him to put up a season like that, even if they thought he could.
Right.
I don't think that's going to happen. So they need to be, in the playoff hunt, and he needs to be scoring late touchdowns
Yep.
for people to then notice, and then all of a sudden people start talking about him that way.
Exactly.
Because as you know, the voters don't watch every game. So they don't know what they're talking
Yes,
about.
absolutely.
They
Yes.
follow momentum like anybody else.